Hello everyone, this is Manohar Reddy, Department of Cybersecurity, Institute of Aeronautical. Today I am going to explain you the basic concept of introduction to the web security. Introduction to the web security. So introduction to the web. So in generally we are using different applications through web, and we are going to search different concepts, different contents from the websites. So here the World Wide Web is famous for all the data retrieval contents, and also for file contents or video contents, audio contents, anything. So for everyone, for every data in the World Wide Web is very important for the applications. So how the World Web is going to be provided with the security, and what are the different types of attacks, different types of security mechanisms that are going to provide security for the web. So see the basic introduction to the web. The World Wide Web is a fundamentally client-server application running over the internet and TCP intranets. So the World Wide Web is nothing but a simple point of view. It is a client-server application running over the internet or TCP/IP intranets. So if user wants to requesting for the particular content, and that content is available on the web. If user wants to requesting for the particular content, and that content is available on the web. So how the client or user is going to be interacting with the server to retrieve all the data, to retrieve all the details. So that is the approach we are using in the nowadays to find out the different contents from the web. So the general requirements for web security, and then focus on 3 standardization schemes that are becoming increasingly important as part of web commerce, and that focus on security at the transport layer and the application layers. So the general requirements for web security is for what? They are focusing on 3 types of schemes, 3 standardization schemes. And nowadays we are using different applications like e-commerce applications, banking applications, financial applications, software related applications, electronic applications. Every applications are related to the web, and each and every application is running on basis of client server. So depending upon the client server applications or any type of applications, all the security issues, security considerations are mainly focusing with the 3 standardization schemes. So here the security tools and approaches suggest that need for solving the issues of web security. So in the middle of that web security, in the middle of that websites, in the middle of that web services, there is a chance of attacking, and there is a chance of hacking, and there is a chance of spoiling the identity of the website's owners also. So to do not do all these things, to overcome all the disadvantages, the security tools and approaches are needed. Some security tools and approaches suggest that the need for solving the issues related to the web security. So to solve all the problems, some sort of security tools or some sort of security approaches needed. Some sort of security tools and some sort of security approaches are needed. So web servers are relatively easy to configure and manage. So web server is not a normal application or not a normal process. It maintains, manages, configures with a lot of efforts. it maintains, it manages, it configures with a lot of efforts, because a server maintains a data which is applicable to all the user needs, which is applicable to all the user needs. So the servers configure and manage is very critical thing. So, and web content is increasingly easy to develop. So all of the users are going to develop their websites, develop their web contents, and develop their web pages also. So web content is increasingly easy to develop. The underlying software, which is extraordinarily complex, So creating applications, creating websites, creating content, web content, and websites are going to be a large, extraordinarily complex process. So for that, web server and web browsers are some tools, certain tools to manage all the traffic on web, to maintain and to manage the data. So all the websites, all the web traffic is going to be managed by some of the tools like web servers and the web browsers. So web servers always return some data based on the browser requested. So web server and web browsers are some sort of tools that manages all the traffic on web to maintain and manage the data. So at that moment, so managing all the data is not at all a simple task. It is a very complex task. So at that moment, some sort of web security threats also available. Some sort of security threats. Threats are nothing but a different events or different actions that are going to be compromising the websites, compromising the web content, compromising the web browser also. So that all the types of threats are going to be perform a different action on different basis. So one way to group these threats in terms of both passive and active attacks. So web security threats are divided into two types based on the attacks. So one is passive attacks and the second one is active attacks. So passive attacks, it includes eavesdropping on network traffic between browser and server, and gaining access to information on a website that is supposed to be restricted. So passive attacks are including that eavesdropping on the network traffic between browser and server. So the data transmission in between the browser and server, if any data is going to be lost, so that all the gaining access has to be restricted by these passive attacks. So data loss will be occur. So data loss will be occur by the chance of data is leakage. And the second one, active attacks. It includes impersonating another user, altering messages in transit between client and server. So impersonating another user, altering messages in transit between both client and server, and altering information on website also. So active attacks are included impersonating another user. So if they wanted to disturb the user impersonatively, that means they are going to be lost the data, and they are going to be impersonatively use that others data to modify or to change the data. So altering message is also possible at that moment in between that client and the server, and altering information on websites also. They may take all the website into their handover, so that they can modify the website pages, web content pages, also web domain pages also. So that is a chance to have the active attacks by participating here. That is a chance to give the active attacks. And another way to classify web security threats in terms of the location of the target, in location of the threat. So another way to classify web security threats is in terms of the location of the threat. So where exactly threat will occur, where exactly the threat will present. Threat will present. So web server, web browser, and network traffic between browser and server. So here is one chance to attack. Here is one chance to classify the threat. Here is one chance to classify the threat in between these web server, browser, and a network between browser and server. And issues of server and browser security fall into the category of computer system security. So issues of server and browser security is going to be the category of computer system security, because computer is going to be maintained the browsers and servers also. So that category comes here, computer system security. Also applicable to web system security. Also applicable to web system security. Issues of traffic security fall into the category of network security. So applicable, it's also applicable to the web system security, and the issues of traffic security fall into the category of network security. So network security has to monitor that all the traffic, network traffic between the both browser and server. So here the active attacks and passive attacks are normal attacks that are going to be use different techniques or different policies, mechanisms that are going to be modify the user information or modify the website's information. Website's information. So here I will present different comparisons threats, comparison of the threats on the web. So there are different types of threats are there. So first one is integrity, second one is confidentiality, third one is denial of service, and the fourth one is authentication. So first one is integrity, second one is confidentiality, third one is denial of service, and fourth one is authentication. So these are all the threat types. So these are all the threat types. So this is the integrity threat, confidentiality threat, and a denial of service threat, and authentication threat. After having these all the threats, after occurring all these threats, so what are the consequences are presented? What are the countermeasures also presented? So here integrity threats. So by occurring integrity threats, what is the presence of integrity threats and what is the loss? Here we are going to see. The first one is what? Modification of user data. So integrity threat occurs for modifying the user's data. So that integrity losses means the user is going to be lost their data. User is going to be lost their data and is given a chance to modify his own content to other users. So the modification of user data is the first integrity threat. And here through the Trojan horse browser also, they are going to have different types of browsers. So if you use the browser, Trojan horse browser also, your data may loss. And the modification of memory also, and modification of message traffic in transit. And based on these integrity threats, what are the consequences we are going to face? So obviously, if any attacker modifies the user data, automatically we lost some information. So that means how we are going to lose that information? Because of the machine is compromised. And also vulnerability to all other threats also. And if given a chance to this threat, integrity threat, then this is a chance for other threats also. This is a chance for other threats like confidentiality threats, denial of service threats, and also authentication threats. So there is a chance for giving that all the threats. And for this, to overcome, to defending these consequences, to defending or to countering these consequences, we are going to use some countermeasures like cryptographic checksums. So that is nothing but cryptographic checksums are nothing but applying encryption and decryption techniques. To do not give a chance to other users to modify your data. Other users to modify your data. And second threat is what? Confidentiality. Second threat is what? Confidentiality. So the confidentiality is nothing but there is no chance to give the data to other user. There is no chance of exploring your data to other users. So if confidential threats occurs, what happens? So is dropping on the net. That means the data leakage will be present. And the theft of information from the server. Theft of information from the server. Theft of data from the client. Theft of data from the client as well as server. And information about network configuration also will know. Information about network configuration also will get it. And information about which clients talks to the server. So which client is going to be talking with the which server is also going to be gives the information about the client talks and the server talks. And the consequences, what are the consequences we are going to face? So by doing this, by occurring confidentiality threats, automatically loss of information occurs. Automatically loss of information occurs and loss of privacy also there. Loss of privacy. So you lost your privacy and you lost your information by occurring these confidentiality threats. And the countermeasures. So what are the countermeasures means? So applying encryption techniques, applying encryption process. That means you are going to use some keys to do not explore the data to the other users. Explore the data to the other users, and also use some web proxies. Also use some web proxies. And third one is denial of service threat. So denial of service threats, killing of user thread, killing of user thread, killing of user thread. So by occurring this denial of service, killing of user thread, that means you are not able to reach the destination. You are not able to reach the network target. You are not able to use the network in terms of accessing the applications. So at that moment, it occurs like killing of user threads. And second one is what? Flooding machine with bogus request. Flooding machine with a bogus request. That is nothing but different types of flood attacks. Flood attacks. So filling up disk or memory also. Filling up disk or memory unnecessarily by sending multiple flood attacks. By sending multiple flood requests, the disk or memory getting fastly filled. Getting very fast filled. And isolating machines by DNS attacks. Isolating machines by DNS attacks. So the systems are going to be, the machines are going to be separated, isolated by these DNS attacks. So these are all the different threat targets, threat attacks by the denial of service threats. For these consequences, what are the consequences? Disruptive is one consequences, annoying is one consequences, and prevent a user from getting work done also. So always disruptive is nothing but disconnective or disturbantive. So when you want to access that particular website, it may get disruptive. It may get disruptive. That means it may get disconnected. And annoying. Annoying means anonymous websites also there, and prevent users from getting work done also. So unwantedly the connection is going to be disconnected. Connection is going to be disconnected. So for this countermeasures is nothing but we have to keep our connections is to be secure. We have to keep our connections is to be constant. So for that, this is what somewhat difficult to maintain, that all the connections to be constant and the connections to be secure. So for that, we mentioned that countermeasure is what somewhat difficult to prevent it. Difficult to prevent it. And fourth one is what? Authentication threat. Authentication threat. So impersonation of legitimate users. Impersonation of legitimate users and data forgery. So impersonation. So unwantedly they make users to behave like other ones, and data is going to be forgery. Data is going to be forgery. And the consequences. What are the consequences we face by attacking this authentication threat? So misrepresentation of user. So They are showing the information, user information, or they are showing the user irrespective of other users, and believe that false information is valid. Believe that false information is valid. So making it as a forgeable information is to be true. Forgeable information is to be true. So for this, the countermeasures also same like cryptographic techniques. So cryptographic checks and cryptographic procedures are very important to make your data or make your connections or make your systems to be very secure. Make your connections or make your data or make your connections to be very secure. So these are all the different threats available for the web attacks or for the not providing the security for the web. So these are attacks are going to be attack on the websites to do their behavior for the users. Do their behavior for the users. And one way to provide web security is to use IP security. So for that we have to use some countermeasures, right? We have to use some security services. We have to use some security services, website or web security services, security services. So there we can provide a three ways by mentioning that we can provide a three ways web security services. In that, one way to provide web security is to use the IP security. Use the IP security policies, IP security protocols, IP security mechanisms, IP security principles. We have to use some of the security, use IP security as one method. So one way to provide web security is to IP security. The advantage of using IP security is that is transparent to the end users. That is transparent to the end users and applications and provides general purpose solutions. General purpose solutions. So IP secure is what it contains authentication header plus encapsulating security payload plus internet key exchange. Internet key exchange. So by having this all the authentication header, encapsulating security payload, and the internet key exchange for key management purpose. Because of all this having, we may have to provide a security for the web. Security for the web. And another relatively general purpose solution is to implement security just about TCP. Just about TCP, that is nothing but a transport layer. Just about transport layer, we have to provide a security mechanism. We have to provide a security mechanism. The foremost example of this approach is the security socket layer. Security socket layer. Also, we can call it as TLS. And the follow-on internet standard known as TLS. So, before 1990s, we call it as SSL. After 1990s, it is called as a transport layer security. Transport layer security. And application specific security services are embedded within the particular applications. So to provide the security for each and every application, we have to provide the specific security service for the particular application. Suppose for the Gmail, for the email, for the mail sendings, you can use one service. You can use one service like Kerberos service or mail wheel of service or proxies. So like that, we have to use the different services for the particular applications. The advantage of this approach is that the service can be tailored to the specific needs of the given application. So each and every specific security service is limited for only the given application. So these are the three basic approaches that we are going to provide some security. So one way is what to provide web security using IP security, and the second one is for using the transport layer. Above transport layer, we have to use the security socket layer, and the third one is what for the specific application, measure the specific application security software. So these are the levels that are going to provide web security for the each and every services. So here the first one is what we already said in the previous slide. We said that what providing IP security, providing IP security. So IP security is an internet protocol, internet layer protocol that provides IP security with authentication header and encapsulating security payload and internet key exchange. Because of all these presence, IP security provides a maximum security. IP security provides a maximum security. And the second approach is what? Providing security above transport layer. Providing security above transport layer. So the transport layer is presented here and IP security is also presented here. Above this transport layer, provide SSL security socket layer or transport layer. Security socket layer or transport layer security. Transport layer security. So because of providing security above TCP, we may call it as TLS is a transport layer security. Transport layer security. And third approach is what? Providing a specific security service to the specific applications. Specific security service to the specific application. So in this application level, the internet protocol above internet protocol, TCP protocol and also UDP. So for this, the Kerberos is one type of software, application software. Kerberos is one type of application software and MIME is one type of application software. Along with this, Mail VLOOP is also one type of application software. So all the application softwares, all these application softwares are related to the specific application in the application layer. Specific application in the application layer. So we already know that all the different layers like application layer, presentation layer, session layer, transport layer, in network layer, data link layer and physical layer. So these all the layers are not involved for the data transmission, but for these levels we are going to provide some sort of security. So above transport layer, before transport layer, providing IP secure as a security service and providing above transport layer, providing TCP, TCP related security service TLS or SSL as one part of security service, and also in the application layer providing a specific application security service, providing application security service for each and every applications, for each and every application. So we are using different types of firewalls, we are using different types of firewalls, different types of antivirus softwares and different types of password management techniques. All these are related to the security services at each and every layer of the web security, each and every layer of the websites or web security. So this is the way we can provide a different sort of securities to make the web as a secure. So that is the way we have to understand that providing the security for the web is very important with the help of different approaches. So that is what we discussed in this session. Once again, we will revise the topics which we discussed in this session. So here the first one is what? Introduction to the web. So we already said that all the applications are running over the internet or the web applications. All the applications are running over the internet or web applications. So the World Wide Web is nothing but indirectly the client server applications running on internet. So to solving the issues of web security, we have to use some sort of security tools and approaches. So complicatedly, websites are increasing more and web content also increasing more. So to maintain that web data, the network manager or network traffic has to be reduced. And web security threats are dividing in the part of passive attacks as well as active attacks. So passive is nothing but there was some sort of data leakage problems, but active attacks are nothing but some sort of impersonating the behavior on the particular data, impersonating the behavior on the particular data. And these are the comparisons of different threats, different consequences based on the threats and the countermeasures. So one is integrity threats and related to the consequences and related to the countermeasures. And the second one, confidentiality threats. And third one, denial of service threats. And the fourth one, authentication threats. So for all these types of threats, we have the consequences are also we are facing, and countermeasures also we are going to show here. And best way to provide security for the all these web threats is what providing IP secure is under TCP layer, and providing transport layer security above TCP layer, and providing application specific security for each and every applications based on the application layer. So that is what we presented here. Providing IP securities under TCP layer, providing TLS above TCP layer, and providing application specific security services for each and every applications. So these are the ways, the best approaches that are going to be provide security for the web. So that's all about the web security introduction and the web security services. Thank you all.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.